Welcome to Sankofa Community Affairs with Brother Salim Adolfo. Today we are here to discuss the National Urban League and its Young Professional Network. We have the president of the Young Professional Network, Ms. Tracy DeSajar. How are you doing, Ms. Tracy?
I'm doing very well. How are you, sir?
I am doing good.
Good.
So can you tell us about the National Urban League?
Absolutely. So the National Urban League is actually a civil rights organization that provides direct services across the country.
Now, when was it founded?
It was founded in 1910, and it's a bit of an interesting story. So following the 1896 Plessy versus Ferguson decision, something happened across the country. We started to see the black migrations, and essentially there were African Americans literally flooding to the north. And as a result of that, those African Americans, once they actually got there, they didn't have better conditions like they thought they would have. So they were still a fight for jobs and for freedom. And so out of a grassroots movement, the National Urban League was founded in 1910.
1910. What are some of the historical accomplishments of the National Urban League?
Oh my gosh, it's so many accomplishments of the National Urban League. Well, the National Urban League has had several leaders, most notably in the recent years, I would say Mark Morial and then also Whitney M. Young. Under their leadership, you saw affiliate chapters really spring up across the country. And each affiliate chapter across the country really does have a different personality, if you will, offering different programs. Some of the programs on the local level that we have include our Grandfathers Group and also our Resource Mothers program.
Can you tell us about the 4-point agenda?
Absolutely. So the National Urban League, along with the affiliates across the country, operate under a 4-part agenda. That agenda includes really fighting for economic parity and jobs, quality education, access to affordable housing, and also health.
How do you help folks with affordable housing?
It's a number of different programs, and it really varies depending on which affiliate you're working with. Here in the local area, here in the Northern Virginia community, our affordable housing program actually stems more around financial literacy.
Okay.
So we do have a program director, and he goes into the community at least twice a month to provide direct services to residents in the community and really talking to them about how to best manage their money when it comes to home ownership.
Now, you're the president of the Young Professionals Network. Can you tell us what that's about?
Sure. Well, the Northern Virginia Urban League Young Professionals Network is actually a volunteer auxiliary organization of the Northern Virginia Urban League. We were founded in 1999, and really it was a group of young professionals that came together under the leadership of then CEO George Lambert to continue the Urban League movement.
What are some of the things that the Young Professional Network is doing?
We have a number of different programs. Our number one focus really is to support the Northern Virginia Urban League. So we do a lot to support the 2 programs that I mentioned previously, the Grandfathers Group as well as the Resource Mothers program.
What's the age range of the Young Professionals Network?
Sure, young professionals ages 21 to 40.
So what happens when I become 41?
Well, when you become 41, as a matter of fact, when you become 40, you can engage in the Guild. So the Guild is also a volunteer auxiliary underneath the Northern Virginia Urban League. We do quite a few programs together, and we really support each other. But you essentially transfer, or transition rather, from the Young Professionals Network to the Guild.
What are some of the committees of Young Professionals Network?
We have a number of committees. We actually have 7. As a matter of fact. So kind of going through the list, we have communications, community service, fund development, membership, personal and professional development, let me think, political engagement, and then also social programs.
Now, you mentioned political engagement. What events do you do around electoral politics?
Well, our political engagement committee is definitely one of our most active committees. Obviously, they were very active in the past few weeks. One of the things that we do each year is actually offer rides to the polls to seniors in the area. We usually work with senior living facilities to assist them. Most senior living facilities that we found now actually do already have vans and different resources. They may partner with different churches, but we found that there's still a need to really supplement those efforts. And so that's one of the initiatives that we do every year.
Well, some of the other initiatives that you have, I think there was one of the Black Opal. Can you tell us about that?
Sure. Well, Black Opal is a great time. It's really our signature fundraising event, and those funds, the funds that we raise from Black Opal, go directly towards our programs and services, and also it primarily supports our scholarship that we give every year. Each year we give at least one $5,000 scholarship. You know, the criteria for the scholarship is very specific. It's actually given to an individual that intends to pursue a career in the STEM field.
What is STEM?
Science, technology, engineering, and mathematics.
Do you have programs that are geared towards STEM to help children?
We do, absolutely. As a matter of fact, our Grandfathers Group program, a lot of the activities that they do in that program, and it is for young boys, both middle school and high school boys, but primarily middle school age, a lot of the programs that they do in that program really are to propel those young men towards careers in the STEM fields.
Now, recently you had a National Day of Empowerment. What was that about?
So each year, the National Urban League Young Professionals really gives us guidance here on the local level to hold what's known as a National Day of Empowerment. And so it's a day where all of the young professionals, auxiliary groups across the country really advocate around one issue. This year we're focusing on student loan debt, which I'm sure affects a lot of young professionals, if not all young professionals across the country. So here on the local level, we had an event and we had a panel discussion, more like a town hall discussion. We brought in other young professionals, as a matter of fact, representing various organizations. And we really started the conversation in this area on what is student loan debt, what is student loan forgiveness or student loan elimination, and what are some of the pieces of legislation that we're seeing right now, both on the local level, the statewide level, and then also on the federal level.
Now, you mentioned the term young professionals quite a bit. Can you give me a definition of what a young professional is?
What is a young professional? Well, in the context of the National Urban League Young Professionals movement, a young professional would be someone that falls between the ages of 21 to 40. Now, there's no criteria on the type of profession that you're in or the type of background that you come from, but instead it's just those that fall into that age range.
All right. What made you join the Urban League?
That's a big question. I really joined the Urban League because I have a passion for politics and service. And the Urban League offers both of those opportunities for me. It gives me the opportunity to share my passion for political and civic engagement with my peers, and it also gives me the opportunity to engage in my community.
What made you stay a part of the Urban League?
That's a simple question for me. I stay because the work isn't over. When you look at the mission of the Urban League mission and really focusing on those 4 areas of jobs, health, education, housing, there is more work to be done to really propel African Americans towards equality in each of those areas.
All right, we're going to have to take a break. You're watching Sankofa Community Affairs with Brother Salim Adolfo. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Sankofa Community Affairs. We're here discussing the National Urban League and its Young Professionals Network. One of the things that you have going on, Ms. Tracy, is Opportunity to Thrive. Can you explain to the audience Opportunity to Thrive, please?
Absolutely. Opportunity to Thrive is one of our signature programs here in the Northern Virginia area. And what it really is just a mentoring program. We work with middle school and high school age students within the Alexandria community. Now, a lot of these students that have been identified within their communities as being at what we would know as at-risk students.
Okay.
And the agenda is a really unique one. So we talk with them and work with them on everything from etiquette, whether it's how to sit down, and have a formal dinner. We also work with them on financial literacy, social media, really managing your brand on social media and what that means to, be a young person in this age of technology. And then we also work with them on a number of other things, even if it's just tutoring them on whatever their homework is for the day.
You bring up 2 things. One is professional development, but something else that you just mentioned was on just working with some of the children in the community around at-risk children, I should say. And my experience with the Urban League growing up has been one of direct services. So if my lights are about to get cut off, the Urban League at times has helped people with that, or child care, things of that nature. And I know that Northern Virginia, per the statistics, is one of the wealthiest counties, or wealthiest sections in America, just one of the most expensive places to live in, and I mean per capita, it's a lot of money being made in this area. Do you find it difficult knowing that the Urban League tends to work with people who are at an economic disadvantage to work with folks in this area?
That's a very interesting question, actually. And you're right. I would not argue with you to say that we are in a very unique area here in Northern Virginia. There is a lot of wealth in the area, but you also have to realize that not the entire area certainly isn't wealthy. So the group of students that we work with in our Opportunity to Thrive program come from some of those corners that we don't necessarily, I would say, like to talk about or don't necessarily see maybe on an everyday basis. And so the students that we work with certainly have a need, and we're happy that we can provide services to them through the Northern Virginia Urban League.
Well, I would say that no matter what your socioeconomic background is, all children are at risk, you know, of something. But the other point that you brought up was professional growth and development. Can you explain what that means?
Absolutely. Well, in the context of the students that we work with, everything that we do really is to develop them both personally and professionally. We really try to get them to start thinking about, even at a very young age, in elementary school and in middle school, what type of profession are you interested in going in? Of course, a lot of the work that we do we really try to share more about the STEM careers with the students. But then when it comes to the Young Professionals Network, a lot of what we do we try to develop young professionals both personally and professionally there also.
And how do you try to develop the young professionals?
I think a good example of that is a number of our different conferences that we have. As a matter of fact, in January, we're going to be heading down to Birmingham, Alabama, January 15th through the 18th for a LEAD conference. And there are 3 different tracks to the conference, and it is for young professionals. You don't have to be a member of the Northern Virginia Urban League or any urban league. You can really come. The conference is open. But there are 3 different tracks, a track for leaders, dreamers, and then also entrepreneurs.
So what's well, I know what a leader and a dreamer, entrepreneur is. What would you say a dreamer is?
I think a dreamer is someone that's really trying to find their way. They may have a passion for a particular issue, or they may have a passion just in life for helping people, or for, let's say, cooking, or just doing something, but they're not quite sure whether they want to become an entrepreneur or how they want to develop those skills. So the conference will give everyone the opportunity to really grow and develop.
What are some other conferences that the organization has?
Well, we also have an annual conference that takes place in a different city every year. And then we have what's known as our Legislative Policy Conference. That conference actually started not that long ago under our current CEO, Mark Morial, and it takes place every year here in Washington, D.C., and it's really the National Urban League on the Hill, if you will. So it's a day for advocacy, or really 2 days for advocacy and lobbying and really advocating around the issues that matter to the National Urban League.
Now, the National Urban League has been around for over 100 years now.
That's right.
And oftentimes people say, okay, well, a lot of the issues that they may have addressed years ago, some folks will say that stuff is still in the past. We need to just leave that alone. What is your take on that? I mean, is the Urban League, National Urban League, still relevant today?
That's actually a question that I get pretty frequently, and I would say the National Urban League is just as relevant today as it was in 1910 when it was founded. I think, like I said earlier, the work isn't done. There's still a lot more work to do, and we've already identified some of the programs and services that we have here in the Northern Virginia community. I think we can see with recent incidents across the country that the National Urban League is still very much relevant today.
Now, I remember at the March on Washington, it was for jobs and justice. And then we have to come back 50 years later for the anniversary of the march, but that issue is still on the table. What could we have done different over the last 50 years, or I guess now moving forward, so we're going to come back 100 years later talking about we still need to march for jobs and justice. What are some of the practical steps you think we could take as a community?
That is a very big question, and I'm not sure that I can fully answer it, but I'll say just personally, I think we're always going to be fighting for jobs and economic quality. Unfortunately, I think it's one of those things where, in any given community on any given day, you can see a loss of jobs. The community that I'm from, which I reference often, I'm from Danville, Virginia, once had a very thriving economy. We had we were thriving and we really relied on the textile industry. Well, a lot of those jobs were outsourced. And so we didn't expect that to happen. And so what we see now are unemployment numbers, still hovering around the double digits in Southwest Virginia. And so unfortunately, it's one of those issues that's very challenging, and there are a number of different factors. I think here in our community, when we look at communities of color, I think relying on those services, or really using those services rather, that the National Urban League and other different other organizations have to offer.
The Urban League, to me, is quite different from some of the other mainstream civil rights organizations, because it does delve into, direct services, and it has, from what I witnessed, a very active young professionals network. So to me, that is a way to help build leadership up, for the next generation. Do you see yourself staying within the organization and aspiring to be part of the National Urban League proper?
So there's a saying in the Urban League, once an Urban Leaguer, always an Urban Leaguer. So I will always be a part of the movement in one way or another.
All right, so can we possibly see you as the CEO of the Urban League one day?
That is a very big question. I'm not sure I'm prepared to answer that one, but again, I'll always be a part of the Urban League movement.
All right, well, we need to take a break. You're watching Sankofa Community Affairs with Salim Adolfo. We'll be right back.
Going to school pregnant, riding the bus, that was hard. You just have all the stares and you have all the questions. When you get pregnant, all the stuff just goes through your mind. Abortion, adoption, keeping him. When you're 15 and pregnant, you can't do it without support. I wanted to give him a better life. I'm Miranda and I chose adoption.
Welcome back to Sankofa Community Affairs with Brother Salim Adolfo. We're here discussing the National Urban League and its Young Professionals Network in the Northern Virginia area. We have Ms. Tracy here. Ms. Tracy, can you tell us what is Freedom House?
Absolutely. Freedom House is actually our museum here at the Northern Virginia Urban League. The museum, we actually purchased it back in the 1990s, and after many, many years of renovations and really bringing it up to par, in preparing to open it for the community, we opened the Freedom House Museum just over 5 years ago. And what it is now, it's located in our headquarters, and it's actually downstairs. It is a full museum, but upstairs we have our regular office space. Now, a little history on the museum. It was actually a slave pen once in Alexandria, and the Freedom House Museum is actually a part of that. It was under the ownership of two different owners, but upwards of several thousand slaves, as a matter of fact, came through that museum, or came through that slave pen, rather. And even Solomon Northup, who was featured in 12 Years a Slave, was actually held there in the slave pen.
That's interesting that there was a slave house right there. And I mean, there's a lot of history in Alexandria that I don't think people take full advantage of. Do a lot of people from the community even know that that place exists?
Unfortunately, not a lot of people in the community know. I would say there's a decent amount of people that come to visit the museum, but we always, would love to open our doors for more visitors. We do give a frequent number of tours, I would say, on Saturdays, sometimes on Sundays, but not that many people come during the week. So anyone is always welcome to come to the Freedom House Museum anytime.
I think that raises another point. I mean, one is just it's a museum that's connected to an institution that does a lot of good work in the community. Do you think that if we have trouble getting people to come to the museum, obviously we probably have trouble getting people to join our organizations. Why do you think that is?
That's another very large question. I think sometimes when people look at organizations, in particular civil rights organizations like the NAACP or the National Urban League, they don't always see the need today. They don't always see the connection, but there is still a need for people to engage in the movement. As I mentioned before, our 4-point empowerment agenda, jobs, health, education, and housing, there's still work to be done in those areas. Do
you think that with Barack Obama becoming president, a lot of people think, okay, well, we made it, so I don't need to do anything else?
I'm not sure. I think you're always going to have some people that may have that mentality. They're certainly not my mentality, or I wouldn't say that's the mentality of those involved in the National Urban League either. I think, again, there's still more work to be done. And when you look at the programs and services being offered across the country, I think it's just a true testament to the impact that the actual movement is having.
Now, of course, one of the things that you did mention earlier was the, just to get out the vote campaign, getting people to the polls. Why do you think it's so difficult for people to see the need to actually vote still 2014?
In 2014, I think it's one of those things that's always going to be challenging. I think there are certain years when people are very excited, they're very engaged. We tend to see increased voter participation around presidential elections. Right. There's more money put into those campaigns. It's more TV ads. It's almost everywhere you go. When you look at off-year elections, which Virginia actually does not have any off years per se, because we do have an election every year in Virginia, people tend to lose a little bit of that excitement, maybe because it's not on a national level. But I think ultimately people don't always see the connection between local politics and what's happening in their everyday lives, when in fact all politics is local.
That is true. All politics is local. What can we do in our organizations to get people more aware about, not just the need to vote, but to become more politically educated as to what their vote actually means?
I think it goes back to the basics. When you look at the very foundation of the National Urban League movement, coming out of a grassroots movement and a fight for freedom and jobs and economic equality, we really need to get back to basics. Just getting back to hitting the streets, being that grassroots organization that we were founded as, and that's how you really educate the community on the issues that matter to them.
Do you think that within the Young Professionals Network, doing some of that, grassroots, going door to door type of work is kind of just like, oh, that's that stuff from the 60s. I want to send somebody a tweet, or if I really want to get next to them, I'm going to send them a direct message. You think we kind of have that attitude with some of the young people today?
I would say across the board, more in a broader sense, we may have some of that attitude, I would have to say. I think now, again, we're in the age of technology and social media. It's easy to post something on social media and think, you've reached all of your followers. But, not everyone's on social media. I would say here on the local level, again, in our community and with the Northern Virginia Urban League Young Professionals Network, a part of our civic engagement efforts includes phone banking. We phone bank every year, and we call residents, primarily in the Alexandria community, not taking sides. It's not about one party or the other. It's not about one candidate or the other. For us, the important part is that you get out to vote and, exercise your right no matter who you're supporting.
Where would you like to see the Young Professionals Network in the next 10 years?
Oh, in the next 10 years, oh goodness. I would like to see us having a greater impact. It's wonderful. We have our programs such as the Resource Mothers Program, College Survival, we have our Grandfathers Group, An Opportunity to Thrive, but having an even greater impact. One of the things that I mentioned that we do is give away at least one $5,000 scholarship. How wonderful would it be to offer, let's say, five $5,000 scholarships, $5,000 scholarships to local students?
Hey, you said the Resource Mothers Program?
That's correct.
Okay, I forgot about that one. Can you tell us about that, please?
Absolutely. So our Resource Mothers Program actually supports about 120 mothers, teen mothers, across Alexandria and Fairfax County currently. It's all sorts of support that we offer them. So it is all sorts of direct services. So it's advocacy, it is support in finding tutors and finding childcare, and then all of the resources that you would need as a mother, whether it's diapers or thermometers and all of those things as well.
All right, how does one get in contact with the Young Professionals Network?
Well, we are all over social media, so you can visit us online at www.nvulypn.org, or you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram at NVULYPN.
All right, how does one get in touch with you?
You can get in contact with me. You can email me at president@nvulypn.org, and I'm on social media as well. So my Twitter handle is @Tracy_JAY.
All right, when does the Young Professionals Network meet?
We actually meet the second Thursday of every month, and we meet at George Mason University School of Conflict Resolution and Analysis, which is located in Arlington.
All right, do you have any other reoccurring events that people can participate in?
We do. We have a number of different recurring events. In fact, our Opportunity to Thrive program, that mentoring program for high school students, takes place the third Monday of every month, and that's a great way to get involved. And you can email our Director of Community Service at communityservice@nvulypn.org.
All right, thank you, Ms. Tracy. We've run out of time, and hopefully we've gotten a good taste of what the Young Professionals Network is. I must admit, I was completely unaware of what a young professional was until I got into the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area, and I'm learning that this is definitely a good network. It's a good resource, for the community. I think it gives, especially a lot of young people who are, trying to navigate and find their way into what they want to be a part of, a good outlet and a good way to be engaged. So thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
And it's a blessing, and hopefully we can get you back on in the near future.
Thank you.
You're watching Sankofa Community Affairs with Brother Salim Adolfo. Thank you for watching. See you next week.